Sarah, this is Abby, and welcome to A Swool Unlimited. I'm a scuba instructor, and I lived in my van for a little over 3 years after living abroad as a dive shop owner. Now I'm living in an old sailboat with the hopes of sailing and diving around the Pacific Northwest and beyond. On this channel, you'll get scuba lessons, dive site explorations, and sailing adventures. Join the community here on YouTube or come diving with me around the world on one of my expeditions. It is so windy today that the only place where I have a little peace and quiet is here in the laundry room at my marina. So we're gonna work with this. Today's video is a little bit different. I know a lot of people don't have access to different groups of dive buddies or instructors, and so it can be hard to get specific information about different types of gear or diving experiences. So I'm bringing a group of knowledgeable twin set divers to you right now. But before we get into that, I need to say a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, which is Dan. I have been a member of Divers Alert Network since I started diving over 12 years ago, and I highly recommend having dive insurance for any type of diving you plan on doing. Divers Alert Network has multiple tiers of coverage to provide flexibility for whatever you need. Use the link in the description below to see the difference between their Guardian Preferred and Master plans, and if you have questions, call their team. They are always happy to clarify any doubts you have. Let's get into the video. A little while ago, I tried diving with doubles, and my friend Andrew helped me out with it, and I said at the end of the video, if you want to learn about using doubles as a smaller person, please let me know. I'll work on a video. So today, we're recording that video. Andrew put together a messenger group called Fun Sized Tech Divers. We're gonna get tips on how to be comfortable in this very heavy gear. Nice.
Is it blinding you?
Oh man. That's what's up. Thanks, Andrew. I'm here as a PADI instructor, surrounded by GUE divers.
That's okay, I'm a PADI dive master.
Fair. There's the crossover there.
So, as of right now, the easiest way to put it is I am Trimix certified for using normoxic Trimix down to a depth of 170 feet. I knew that tech diving is what I wanted to do because I want to go check out shipwrecks. I wish I didn't have to do a tech dive to go see them. I would love it if someone would drag all the shipwrecks up to 60 feet for me. So I could do it on a single cylinder, do a little nitrox 32, and then just sit there for a long time. Decompression is one of those things that we have to do to stay alive and come back from the dive safely, but I'd rather not do it.
Okay, so you are Yvette. What is your certification level?
I have the Advanced Open Water for PADI. I also have the Fundamentals for GUE and currently trying to get the Tech Pass. I'm from Mexico. So
yeah.
I've always been attracted to the cenotes, and when I heard that there's this Hoyo Negro where they found the skull of a girl, I've always thought about how amazing it will be to see it. So although I was dragged to scuba diving by my husband, the reason I do doubles is because I want to train to do cave diving.
A reluctant sigh as she steps in front of the camera. What is your name?
My name's Maria. I am currently a PADI Open Water GUE Fundamentals Tech Pass. When I first switched to doubles, I had a lot of problems with being really heavy. I slowly learned tips and tricks from different people to adjust the gear to make it work for my size.
Would you like to be in this video? Would you not? Yeah?
I'm the guy who dives with the Fun Size Divers. I'm Shaheen. This is my wife, Yvette. I'm 6 feet tall, so I'm about 175, 180 pounds. About the size that all scuba gear is made for.
Yep.
I'm a little bit taller, a little bit longer, but...
You get to see the struggles firsthand. Like sometimes...
And I'm always interested in finding all the tips that help her because I don't like seeing her struggle.
So why don't we get into equipment setup and what you guys recommend for different body types? Wait, yeah, let's see the difference. So wait, we've got that one there. We're looking at table heights. How much shorter is that?
2 inches?
I think 2 inches.
Let's see. Yep, let's see
This
it.
sucks.
This sucks.
This sucks.
Short person approved.
Wham!
I
Makes it so much easier to get 130 pounds on your back.
So you just pulled these tanks over here.
You can see the size difference, like the length difference between these two. They're the same exact capacity. So these are Worthington 100s, high pressure 100s. Unfortunately, they're no longer made. Excess Scuba bought the company and then discontinued the line. Those are Fabers, also HP 100. They both hold, in this configuration, 200 cubic feet of gas, but the Worthingtons are much shorter. So I can use the Fabers with my torso length. Maria and Yvette cannot. It's very uncomfortable for them because when they get kitted up, it will push their face forward. They can't sit upright, whereas the Worthingtons, they can.
Is that what I used?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. I intentionally
Yep.
had you in the Worthingtons because...
Because you're a nice human being.
Yes, and I also didn't want to torture you for your very first doubles dive.
I appreciate that. But then you were mentioning that the length wasn't that big of a deal. You said something about with the weight, right?
The trick when you move into doubles is that regardless of the tank size, I'll refer to this as the manifold. The weight of this, along with your 2 first stages, is very negative. The idea when you switch to doubles from a single configuration is this is the largest negative weight you have to work with, is the manifold in the 2 first stages. You want to be able to move it further down, closer to your center of gravity, so that you're not fighting a headstand in the water.
Right. But you still need it to be accessible so that you can reach the valves.
Do valve shutdowns.
Yeah. Andrew was mentioning moving these bands. Is that something that you guys do?
For me, personally, the bands are as high as they can go. So you see the crown of the cylinder, and the bands have to sit on a flat surface, so they can't sit up here. There are people that have extremely long legs. I find some of these guys tend to move their bands down because now they have this huge weight of mass that I would never experience in my life from the hips down. So they do that to counteract. The whole cylinder length thing is more about comfort on the surface than usability underwater.
I think connecting the 2 points, if you have your harness loose, you are able to move the heavy part a little bit lower on your shoulders when you're on trim. But with that length of the big ones, what I experience is that the tanks will be all the way here. So even keeping trim or finning, you hit the tanks. Therefore, something shorter allows you to have the mobility of the tanks being on trim and reach your valves, push them a little bit forward, but you can also just adjust underwater and adjust to the buoyancy.
Sometimes with people in doubles is they tend to be a little bit head up like this, and it is not because they're feet heavy. I actually have not met anyone who's feet heavy in doubles. It is because your body is compensating for being so head heavy.
Would it also be that they're overweighted?
Yeah,
Because in general,
right,
with diving, if you're overweighted, you tend to have that seahorse stance.
Yeah, it could be they're overweighted, and maybe we'll get into that in a bit because being a smaller person, it's very easy to be overweighted in doubles.
The lead weights that you find for doubles, they usually tend to fit right here in the valley of the cylinder. So they're V weights and they have 2 holes, and you have, set weight like 8 pounds, 10 pounds. Beautiful thing about the weight pouch is the weight pouch just sits right here in the valley, like that. You can split the weight. So the bottom pocket can support a maximum of a 5-pound soft pouch weight. You can just see the size difference. So for me personally, because I am so top heavy, I max out the bottom pocket before I even start adding weights to the top.
What did you add to me when, I don't remember,
I think you had 3 pounds in the lower.
in the lower one?
Yep, in the lower. So
Whoa.
here is a typical V weight. We have an 8-pounder. You see how the 8 pounds is spread
Evenly.
evenly across that entire length, whereas the weight pouch, I can do 5 pounds down here and then 3 pounds up here for the same amount
more
of weight.
flexibility. Are these ones only available in chunks like that? You can't just get like one that'll attach to the bottom, or?
You can.
Cut it yourself.
Yeah, there are people that cut it, and there are also people that make these custom.
Of course.
Yep, I've heard of one guy that does custom weights. He's up in Canada, in British Columbia. He does that. He's the closest source, but yeah, he will do certain configurations like, I want 8 pounds, but keep it down as low as possible. But then, so it'll be like here, and then you'll have all that weight down. But you also have to remember, up here for Pacific Northwest diving, we have lots of different diving conditions. In the summertime, I will be in like a 200 gram. In the wintertime, I will be in a 400 gram undergarment. And the 400 gram requires an additional 6 pounds to sink.
Maybe fins. I have a very small foot.
There it is.
Yes.
Look at that little foot.
And surprisingly, I started with very small fins, and I actually reached the point of wearing extra large, and that is specifically for the cold weather diving, because I double on my socks. The socks get floaty and also bigger. So for my dry suit, I'm wearing
Socks.
socks. I prefer to wear the socks on the dry suit and the boots because I can choose the exact size. And when it's not super cold over here, this is how I dive it. This is good enough. I kind of miss the propulsion that you get from a larger one, but I don't think I will be able to use this with no double socks. When it's cold and I'm wearing thicker undergarments, it also makes my feet a little bit floaty. Wearing a bigger boot also means that I can put double or triple socks, and this is what I dive, which is way more comfortable with everything that you have, the doubles and the dry suit. But at least for me, this is what I need to do.
This is a large, and this is an extra large. There's a big difference in surface area and also how negative they are in the water. So these really help balance out that head heaviness, but also for when these ladies use it, it's like a speed hack because there's so much surface area that's pushing on very little weight compared to someone like my size.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like zoom. I'm like, okay.
Like, bye.
Because I also use the extra large fins.
Yeah.
Yep. So same propulsion, but different mass and surface area. It really makes a large difference. And yeah, the funny thing is this is 2x. So not much difference, and then you can tell there's a huge difference down there.
Cool.
Yeah, and the other thing, so I actually started off with large fins as well, and then I have integrated boots, and I'm able to fit in both the large and the extra large. But for me, because I don't have the option of adding additional tail weight due to overweighting, being slightly more negative and being that farther away from the center of gravity on the opposite end of the manifold, I find my balance is really stable with extra large fins. So that's another trick if you aren't able to add tail weight due to overweighting.
Cool.
That applies to anybody with long legs because it happens to me.
Yes.
What is anybody with long legs?
Long legs.
Okay.
The spring is all you really need to compress your foot into it. The width is not that big an issue. So I put the 2Xs on. There's not that big a difference between the extra large and the 2X, but I can tell when I put my legs out, I can come into trim much easier. And it doesn't matter how long you think your legs are when you're in the water. If you think you're flat, you're usually more like this.
Yeah.
Another thing that I had forgotten. For me, these fins, you can swap the spring.
Yeah.
For these particular ones, I have the ones that correspond to the smaller size, which is the medium, is the smallest. But that also helps because my foot is kind of small. So in order for them to stay where they should be, I need the spring to be a little bit shorter, and you can replace them with these type of fins.
I never thought about the different sizes having an impact on that. So that's good to know.
So line up the holes and you can already tell. Once you drop it down to around a reasonable area, you see how...
It goes right to her butt.
Yeah, right to her butt. And now she's got that thing, a nice piece
So those like 2 inches really make a difference. And is that the only company that does the short backplate? Is that why you guys drink the Kool-Aid?
I know there are a few, but Halcyon I think is the largest one that does short backplates.
And they have the regular size and long one, right?
Yeah, they have to be different sizes.
Okay. So we talked about backplate length.
And also material. So these are carbon fiber. Ooh. Yeah. And it's not because we want to be fancy.
You want to be fancy.
No, these are just the lightest backplates we can get.
Yeah.
And I think these weigh 0.9 pounds without the harness and all the other bits attached to it. And I think I'm the only guy here locally that dives a carbon fiber backplate regularly. I don't need a lot of weight to sink. I am very dense. My body as well as my head. So
What is this made out of?
stainless steel.
Stainless steel. So
This
how
is
much heavier is that?
This weighs 6 pounds.
6 pounds. Whew.
So it's a little hack because it's roughly a 5 pound difference between the 200 and the 400 for me. I can just swap out back plates and still keep the same exact weight I have from the weight pouches.
Tricky. Cold water divers. Okay.
Yep. And of
See, I
course-
don't have multiple undergarments, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm like, I just dive what I have. I don't know.
I started off with this until I realized that I was so overweighted. There was an actual incident where I popped up at Cove 2, there's a water taxi lane. And
Oh, no.
we came up in the water taxi lane. It's like, oh, dude, we got to get out of here. Luckily, the water taxi wasn't around. They were on the other side. But
Thank
it's like,
God.
The first thing is dump gas from the wing, get down, skedaddle. I dumped all the wing out, and I started descending at probably about 100 feet a minute.
Oof.
That's how overweighted I was.
Jeez.
And I was running, I think, 2 pounds in the tail at that point. So
You just didn't know.
I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Yep. For me, it was normally when you start descending, I don't dump all the gas out. It's just enough for me to drop down, and then there we go. We're good to go. We gently drift down at a nice, steady ascent or descent rate, and we're good to go. But at that, of course, we got to get out of here. I'm panicking. Dump it out, shoot down, and I am lucky that I had my hand on my nose, and I was doing the Valsalva the entire way down.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I probably would have ruptured both eardrums. That's how quick I was going.
Oof. That's
Yeah.
why proper weighting is important.
Exactly. So that's
Good lesson.
That's what
Okay.
prompted me to get the carbon fiber. So for me, I'm thinking, okay, I'm also a guy. All the guys dive with stainless steel backplate. It'll work for me. Didn't work for me.
And all of this is really really nice to have these conversations, because sometimes you just go and buy whatever they
Yes.
tell you, or whatever the shop tells you that is the right thing. But we've encountered that neither the people from the shops or the instructors that are not familiar with the struggles that you go to, they won't be able to give you the right advice. And the video, I'm sure it's going to be useful, but also talking to other fellow divers that you can relate to.
Yeah.
It's very useful.
Absolutely.
Other thing that's really nice about the carbon fiber backplate for smaller divers is you can add tail weight without overweighting yourself, because you just remove 5 pounds from your overall weighting by switching backplate.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Another thing to consider about doubles diving is you start off every single dive overweighted. You weight yourself for when the cylinders are going to be empty. So, we all do 500 PSI.
Yeah.
We rarely get to that point, and B, we have a lot of dynamic weight, and that's just the gas in the cylinders. As we breathe it down, it goes away. But yeah, you start off every single dive pretty overweighted.
I usually like to adjust where I can reach back and just raise the back plate with the tip of my finger.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point for placing the doubles low enough to where you're not head heavy,
Yeah.
but also where you can reach the valves.
Yeah.
And then I like to keep my waist strap really snug. It's got about 2 fingers worth of slack if I pull it up, and this allows for undergarment and the dry suit. So I guess when I'm walking around with it buckle up, it's not just everything on my shoulder.
You
I would
do
say-
have the waist kind of
Yeah,
tighter so that
yeah.
it's holding there too.
And it's also to keep the doubles in place in
Yeah.
the water, because this is so loose.
Right,
If
that
I don't
is.
have the crotch strap and the waist strap quite snug, the doubles will just start to move around, and you don't want that weight moving around on you.
And you have those so loose to have the tanks
bring
low
them back,
enough,
right.
but then also to get in and out with your dry suit and
Yeah,
all of that.
it's more than a fistful, and I've adjusted over. I would adjust it and then go for 2-3 dives, reassess, and then adjust it. some
And that's
more.
just what you found
Yeah,
works.
and
So
this has worked very well.
okay.
It could be an Asian thing as well. But it's, we just have different body proportions. And Asians tend to be longer in torso at any given height. So I am the same exact way. Like, I can't even
Yeah.
touch the back of my back plate.
Oh, okay.
It's so loose.
Okay.
But I can
And
easily
then still
pop out of this.
Pop out.
Yeah, I can
And
literally
you
pop
also
out.
have tight waistband.
And- yes, tight
Okay.
waistband, tight crotch strap. Yeah, don't be afraid to snug it up. Especially the guys that are like, well, I got equipment down there.
Get over yourself.
Get over yourself.
Drag queens do it every day.
Get over yourself, like you said.
Oh yeah, look at you too.
Haven't realized how
Interesting.
But this is also, you gotta remember, we're not wearing undergarments or dry suits.
Totally. Yeah, we're missing a lot of really thick layers, but I just would not have guessed how loose that would be.
This is like when you have a backpacking backpack.
Yeah.
That you don't want all the weight on your shoulders.
That's what I was wondering because it felt like, and again, when I did the dive with Andrew, we fitted the harness in 2 minutes and so it wasn't perfect, but I felt like it should be tighter on the waist so that it wasn't hanging so much on the shoulders.
And it helps both in surface because in surface you're carrying with your hips. Of course, everything is so heavy. But in the water, what Maria was saying is so true. You will be holding the tanks with the waist strap. And all the movement that you have underwater helps you reach your valves and helps you just be comfortable on the water.
When you have it loose like this and you need to do, so like again, this is to bring all of this down. Do you ever adjust in the water to like bring the tanks further up?
I don't know if this is like only me because I kind of have short hands, but I need to just do a
little shake.
hip.
Yeah.
If I start feeling a little bit too heavy on the head, then I just
shake it back down.
Yeah, you can pull them. It needs to be tight. You need to let the air flow too, and you can adjust underwater and have the ability to push up for your valves.
Right. Okay, cool. I think that's a really interesting tip. Did you ever get, like, when you dive, do you have to consider this at all?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you find for drills, though, that, like, you're having to move a bit, or?
The tanks up, no.
Okay.
Because of the loose harness, I can reach my valves.
Right.
And I also have long arms.
And another important thing is, keep your head up. Because you start going where you're looking. If you keep looking down, you will notice that you start drifting down.
One of the things I wanted to make sure got mentioned. Her tanks are never on the ground. She never picks them up off the ground. We store them on that table. I lift them into the truck most of the time.
Yeah.
She takes them out of the truck. She takes that table that she's cut.
Right, that shorter table. No, that's a good point because when you're looking at the dynamic, right, it's on the ground and you would literally have to, I mean, I know for me, even just carrying a single tank, I have to like lift, like I almost have to shrug my shoulder the whole time to keep it from clearing, so that it actually clears the floor as I walk. That with two, it's even more consideration. Yeah. How would you recommend moving this? Like, say you do not have a large 6-foot man to move these things. How would you guys do that?
Use a backplate.
Don't put them ever on the ground.
Don't put them on the ground. There we go.
The tables.
Yeah, because like for me, I can easily just 2-finger lift this.
God, my back just screamed watching you do that.
So, just attach a bare back plate. Sit.
Oh God.
Sit. Get the harness on.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Use your leg for support. And there you go.
All right. Right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, girlie.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it.
Yep. Off to the side.
Good God.
Hey, I'm gonna.
It's not pleasant.
It's not pleasant.
It definitely
No. No way. No. No.
So that's just it. Don't put them on the ground.
Yes, that's why when the car is here, I have the table right there where it's only just lifting for 2 seconds.
Right. Great demo, but pass. It's a hard pass.
Maria just did it. She just straight up.
Backplate on it does help.
It works as a handle.
Because the 2-finger one does not work for me, but you can lift it up. It's not fun. I would do this if I didn't have to.
You guys said that there's not much to talk about with wings.
Yes.
But do you guys want to touch on the sizes? This is talking about lift. Is it always 40 pounds or do you have
for Halcyon specifically, they have 40 and 60 pound wings.
For when you're diving with multiple tanks and everything.
60-pound wings are normally used on cylinders that are over 100 cubic feet. So if it's over 100 cubic feet, like Shaheen, he's going to be doing his tech and he might be in twin set HP 130s.
Yeah, so what I understand is the 60-pound are used for cylinders that are 8-inch in diameter. And then the 40 pounds are used for the typical 7¼ inch diameter cylinders.
Okay.
Because otherwise they'll toggle around the wing.
Oh.
There's too much excess. And then it's hard to
You can see how much
dump.
fatter they are if you put them next to
Yeah, much fatter. Okay.
Those are 117s, right?
119s.
Oh, 119.
Yeah, so those would, if you band them up, I would not dive those, but you'll use a 60-pound wing.
Okay.
So yeah, that's literally all it is. And the doubles just have a much wider center gusset to wrap around 2 cylinders instead of 1.
Right.
Yep.
There are some wings that claim to be able to do both single and double. They do both poorly.
There are wings, and for those, again, the lowest hole will place the wing high up, giving you that lift around the head area, which theoretically makes it less heavy.
Not specific to the wing, but
I use a 22.
when you attach your SPG, I have slightly shorter, might be 1 or 2 inches shorter than other people will do. When you want your SPG as close as instead of hanging.
Mine is 24 inches, yours is 22.
Okay. Things that you can consider. My backup light is one of the short ones. People might be able to wear bigger ones, which it's good because they have more battery life. But it's a backup light. This is good enough.
Yeah.
Once you have to use your backup light, you're ending the dive.
Right. That's a good point though, having it shorter because it's going to be like hanging on your chest.
And another tip, my Patty Dive Master instructor,
Uh-oh.
she is also a tech diver that is extremely small.
Okay.
So her name is Annalise, absolute rock star, love her to bits. But what she does is, so we have a canister and that's where we run the long hose under. So we chuck the long hose here, goes out, crosses over and above. What she does is she also has a cutting device right on her center line. And because her torso is so much shorter, she goes long hose under and also her cutting device and then goes up.
Oh, okay. So from here across there
And then it comes up and over.
and over. Okay.
So yeah, another thing to consider because yeah, a 7-foot hose is very different on him than it is on her.
Right.
I just learned something.
Nice. You had a knife, right?
Yep, I
So
have.
maybe a line cutter would be smarter if you're gonna route the hose underneath it.
So
Yeah, I could see that. Like, especially if you have big, thick gloves, you're not really
yes,
paying attention. You might
Whereas-
nick your hose.
this is gonna be
Yeah, you can't do
Yeah.
anything with that.
If you're diving in kelp or anywhere where you might have
Yeah.
like something thick, like a rope that you have to untangle, you have
That's better.
This is in my pocket, not
Yeah.
on my.
Any like finishing thoughts?
It's very easy to fall and break something in doubles. We want to enter and exit the water as a team so that, especially coming out, the gear always weighs heavier than coming in. So you want buddy there to kind of balance you, especially since we do a lot of shore diving here and it's rocky shore diving. So you don't want to trip and break. I've met people that broke their pelvis.
A recommendation not for small divers, but for the buddies. Because usually you will do a slope. Well, here we do an entrance where there's a slope. And if I want to start putting my fins at the same place that they'll do it, I'll be drowning already. So the buddies need to be aware that as a smaller diver, they need to keep closer to me.
Yeah,
So-
going out to the water, you would stop, get your fins on, and then maybe you guys shuffle a little bit further, and then you would get your fins
Yes.
on.
that's another important thing. Speak up. Don't be afraid to ask for help.
It's a big change at first, but it's nice to see more smaller people out there. And when I was struggling, someone told me to do it for the next female diver that comes along.
Love that. Don't let that like image of the large burly man keep you from actually doing this, because it's really badass and we're gonna get this one to the caves.
Smaller than me.
No, I know, but I'm the same height as Andrew.
Thank you to my incredible friends for helping with this video. If you want more from the Azul Unlimited community, check out the different membership tiers on Patreon or sign up for one of my future dive expeditions. Okay, love you, bye!
Whenever she goes on trips, right, because she technically only has an open water certification, she always gets put on the beginner boats.
And you're like, I literally have been tech diving.
And she's like, she has over, what, 200 dives?
Yeah.
Years of diving experience, and they always stick her on the beginner boat because of that. So she's like, I'm like, dude, just get your advanced open water. You're going to breeze through the class given your experience and, the courses you take. And she's like, no, I'm just going to finish my Tech 1 and just throw them the Tech card.
There we go.
It's like, I can go down to 170 feet. Are you still going to put me on the beginner boat?
Great. I just realized that I framed you around the recycling, so that's a really wonderful shot when I had all of this scuba gear. There's a standard Azul Unlimited production value here, so...
Are we shifting back over this one?
That was a trial.
Yeah, no.
I'll do it all over again?
No, you're good. You're good.
The women's, Santee BZ 400 has a ridiculous butt flap. Bria had told me about, and that gives you even more buoyancy because it's an additional layer of a 400-gram undergarment.
Excuse me, butt flap? What is it?
I don't have it, but the BZ400 has this butt flap in the back on the women's.
Is it like for peeing? Like, is it an access point?
That's what they meant.
That one
Not
doesn't
doesn't have
okay.
in it. So it's like this half moon shape, like you zip it around. Yeah, it's just. I don't know why they made that because you would be wearing base layer underneath, so...
It still has to come off. You have other layers underneath the undergarment. At least I hope you do.
My guess, invented by man.
Yes.
Probably a man.
That was our conclusion. So we discussed making a special limited edition.
Love you guys.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We know better than you about your own body. Okay?
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not go there.
If you say you need a butt flap, you'll take the butt flap.
Too soon.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the butt flap, because it's an additional thicker layer, it creates buoyancy in that function. So now it makes you even more head heavy than you should be.
Okay. All right.
Yep. Yeah. It's really funny. Atina always gives me crap. She's like, yeah, you just want another backplate.
Well, that's honest.
Yeah. But, yeah.
Uh-oh. I feel like there's a marital discussion going on here.
In cold water, I use the seal.
That's a problem when you make your own money and your partner makes its own money. You cannot ask for receipts.
What did you buy this time?
Don't worry about it. It came from my bank account. Right? Is that how it works?